Where are we on the timeline?
Is it the past, present, or future?
Hang on for the loop!
4, 3, 2, 1. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
I'm Ricky!
I'm Jamie!
And these are our timelines!
Woohoo! We were super cute little babies. Yeah, as you can see, this is where we started.
And this is where we are today.
And we have no idea what happens beyond this part.
Yeah, I'm a little fuzzy on what happened here. Was I playing in a baby baseball league?
I think you might have been, yeah. We all have our own personal timeline.
And we are all part of God's big timeline.
What is God's big timeline?
And what role do we play in it?
I think this is the point in our timeline where we watch this.
Shout out your birthday, nice and loud. I'll wait. My birthday is in January. I'm 24 years old. I don't remember my first birthday party. My mom says they gave me a cupcake and I made a real mess. There are some birthday parties I remember, and a couple I don't. Birthdays are one of the ways I make a mark on my timeline. They are holidays and milestones. But most days, it's just a normal, everyday kind of day. They blend together. Some days I find comfort in this psalm that says, "But I trust in you, Lord. I say, you are my God. My times are in your hands." And some days, I wonder if that's really true. Is there a plan? Does God have good timing? What is he doing in the world right now? If God is in control of the whole story, what part do I have to play?
What's the story of the Bible?
Well, it begins by introducing us to a beautiful mind, the author of all reality, a being called God. And he has the power to take the dark chaos of the uncreated world and bring about order and beauty and a garden full of life.
And to crown this accomplishment, God appoints these creatures called humanity,
Or in Hebrew, Adam,
and they're made as God's image.
which means that they're commissioned to rule this beautiful world on God's behalf by harnessing all of its potential and creating even more beauty and order.
This is a story about humans using their power to do meaningful, life-giving work. But the question is, how?
Yeah, humanity now faces a choice that's represented by a fruit tree. So humans could partner with God and find freedom by trusting in his knowledge of good and evil.
Or
They could seize power and define good and evil on their own, which, God warns, will kill them.
and they hear the voice of a dark, mysterious creature that tells them the choice is simple. Take the fruit. It'll give you power and freedom to rule the world on your own terms.
And so they seize this knowledge, and as a result, they become suspicious and self-protective. It leads to fractured relationships, violent power grabs, and ultimately, a whole civilization, Babylon, that has redefined evil as good. And so, God scatters this corrupted human project.
And here the story of the Bible takes an important turn. We zoom into the story of a man and a woman who come out of Babylon, Abraham and Sarah.
Yeah, God promises that from them will come a new people, a nation that has another chance to make the right choice. And if they succeed, it will open up this new way forward for the rest of humanity.
And this is why the rest of the Bible story is about this family.
And it does not go well. Despite God's personal guidance, Abraham's family gives in to that same temptation to redefine good and evil on their own terms, apart from God.
Even when their best people were in charge, rulers who loved God's guidance and had divine wisdom, even they gave in.
And so Israel was warned by their own prophets that these choices would lead them back to Babylon, this time as conquered captives living in exile, and that's exactly what happened.
So even with God's personal guidance, Israel fails. Who can succeed?
Well, the prophet said that the story wasn't over. God's going to send a new leader to Israel to cover for their failures and to transform the people's hearts and minds so that they can make the right choice.
And so the part of the Bible called the Old Testament ends, and these promises are left hanging.
And then the biblical story continues into the New Testament. We're introduced to a man who comes from the line of Israel's kings, Jesus of Nazareth. And he said that he was bringing all these promises to their completion.
He confronted that dark, mysterious evil that all humanity has given into and resisted its power.
And then he announced that God had arrived to rule the world through himself. Jesus taught about God's definition of good and evil, and he said that real power is serving others. According to Jesus, it's people who love the poor and even love their enemies. These are the kinds of people who actually rule the world.
And that's confusing, but also really beautiful.
And so is the claim that the story goes on to make about Jesus, that he is God become human, to be for Israel and for all humanity what we could never be for ourselves. He came to take the consequences of our evil into himself, and his sacrificial love proved more powerful than evil, than even death itself.
So now humanity's presented with a new choice.
Represented by a new tree.
Stick with the old way of being human, or venture into this new way.
And in the story, those who choose the way of Jesus find themselves energized by God's own power. People who know that they are loved and forgiven by God can become people who love and forgive others in return.
The Jesus movement quickly spread throughout the world, forming these new communities of people who follow the way of Jesus.
But they faced problems. There was persecution from the outside by people in power, and inside there was confusion, even compromise.
Yeah, because following Jesus is really hard.
And so the movement's leaders, called apostles, they wrote letters to comfort and to challenge these communities to stay faithful to the difficult way of Jesus.
And they're called to hope for the day when Jesus will come and change everything.
And so the Bible ends by pointing to the future day, when all wrongs are made right, when evil is eradicated, heaven and earth are united, and humanity can rule the world together in the love and power of God.
God's timeline has a beginning and an end. Oh, hello. Thank you, Mystery Hand. How well do you know the year your tools were born? We'll give you 3 devices, and you've got to hang them on the timeline in correct chronological order, from earliest invented to most recent. 1 point for having the invention in the right spot. 2 bonus points for having them all in the correct order. The person with the most points at the end of 3 rounds gets a refreshing drink. The not winner gets a refreshing drink from the past. It's the Thingamawen challenge.
Oh.
Yay!
Okay.
How fun! Let's do it.
Let's go.
All right, round 1, we've got our inventions.
Let's go.
Okay, I think that portable music player was earliest.
Ooh.
I would say the Bluetooth speaker matched on that, and then fitness tracker.
Actually, Jamie, I'm gonna switch it up. A fitness tracker comes before the Bluetooth speaker. Ready for those points? Show me those points.
I guess I'll leave it.
Show me those thingamawins.
Woohoo! Okay. Oh,
Portable music player. It was 1979 by Sony with the Walkman.
nice.
Bluetooth speaker was 1994 by Ericsson with the Ericsson Bluetooth module.
I like that he named it after himself.
And the fitness tracker in 2007 by Fitbit with the Fitbit tracker. So Jamie gets a point for having each item in the correct placement, so that's 1, 2, 3. And then she also gets 2 bonus points for having them all in the right order, and I get 1. Round 2!
3 more inventions. Let's put them on a timeline. Virtual reality headset. Oh, gaming console.
This is gonna,
Digital camera.
Ooh.
I think gaming console, and then I think digital camera. Oh, that's tough.
Now, I'm gonna say digital camera first, gaming console, and then virtual reality headset. But digital camera. Oh no. Yeah, I gotta switch this. First console, what? Came out in the 60s or 70s? Well, personal digital cameras came out early aughts, which means virtual reality would come before that, because we had VR before we had digital cameras, but we were shooting on film. Digital.
I know, I'm not sure about the digital camera and the virtual reality headset, but I think I'm just gonna go for it.
Yeah, the virtual reality headset means that it's establishing a virtual domain. The invention of these items doesn't mean that you have the mass distribution of the items. Because like we've had.
Oh, mystery hand, thank you. Okay, are you ready?
Okay, here we go. Okay.
Okay, virtual headset is 1968.
It predates the gaming console?
Yeah.
Okay, so it says virtual reality headset 1968 by Ivan Sutherland. And then the gaming console with 1972, the Odyssey by Magnavox. And then the digital camera.
Okay, so you got a point for digital camera.
By Kodak.
Yeah.
But I thought that was way later.
I don't think I got any points, but you got...
I got 1.
1?
And I was so close. Hooray!
Yay, go Ricky!
Point.
God's big story has a beginning and an end. Let's zoom in on the timeline to hear from Jesus about our part to play.
Nobody really likes Mondays, but Mondays are especially busy for me. I work 2 jobs during the day, and then at night, my husband and I lead a small group for our church. Now, we live in New York City, and so our apartment is kind of small and it gets messy really quickly. So after work, we have about 2 hours to turn around and get everything ready. So in that 2 hours, we have to cook, we have to clean, we have to rearrange our furniture to fit about 15 people in our really small apartment. And most of the time when people start arriving, we are still concerned with, is the food ready? Is our apartment done? And we don't always stop and make time to welcome God, to pray, to invite Jesus into our leadership, into our home, and into our gathering. We might have been hospitable with our home, but we haven't always been hospitable in our hearts, making room and preparing it for God. Friends, we can be distracted by things that are technically good things and still miss what we were made for, encountering God. We see this happen in Luke 10 when Jesus is traveling and comes to the home of sisters Mary and Martha. In fact, Martha actually invites Jesus into their home. When Jesus is there, her sister Mary sits at the feet of Jesus, listening to his teachings, much as a disciple actually would in that time. It says that Martha is distracted with much serving, that she actually asks Jesus to rebuke her sister, saying, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me with all of this serving?" But Jesus responds to Martha with this. He says, "Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled with many things, but one thing is necessary. Mary has chosen the good portion which will not be taken from her." Have you ever been distracted by things that were good things, but that actually weren't the most important thing? In our busy world, our hearts can get so distracted by so many things that we forget to make room for the most important thing, for God. We need to make room in our hearts for Jesus. God comes where he is wanted, and we want to be people who welcome God with the highest praise, who welcome God with their hearts. 1 Samuel 16 verse 7 says, "Man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart." Do you have a heart that gets caught up in the things of this world, whether that's people's opinions, whether that's expectations, or just general busyness? And how can you today make room in your heart for the most important thing, the thing that we were made for, encountering God? I want to leave you with Jesus's words. Friends, you are anxious and troubled about many things, but one thing is necessary. Forget the lesser things and make room to choose the good portion, the best thing, Jesus.
All right, the current score is 5-2. This is a final round.
It's anybody's game.
Let's go. You ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go.
All right, so we've got a laptop. We've got noise-canceling headphones. And then we've got a drone. I do not think I'm gonna do well on this one.
I'm gonna go with this.
Oh my gosh, these are all so different. I feel like you would know about the drone.
Here's the thing. Noise-canceling headphones is straightforward, but a drone, are you talking about like the hand-operated RC little fly thing? Or are you talking about bees?
I might switch drone and laptop. All right,
Go,
I've made
Jamie,
my
go.
switch. Mystery hand, I think okay. Woo! Oh my gosh!
Drone, 1935 by Reginald Denny and the radio plane.
Yay!
OQ2. The noise-canceling headphone in 1958 by Lawrence Vogel with the invention of active noise control. And laptop in 1981 by Osborne Computer Corporation with the Osborne 1.
Oh no.
Victory! So I have 5, you have 1. That brings me up to 7, and that brings you to 6.
I had 5 and then 6. Oh, okay. I bet it's a smoothie.
Yatta!
Oh no.
God's big picture is like a search and find, and you can find it all in this book. So how does it end? What's the final chapter? If you've ever flipped to the back of the Bible, you've seen this book called Revelation. And Revelation can be a hard book to understand because it's full of symbols and strange imagery. But through Jesus and this book, God promises that one day his creation project will have a happy ending. And only God knows when this day will come, but we can put our hope in this dream. There is a future where the stain of sin is completely erased. There's a day where pain will no longer exist. It's a good ending, and you can trust time is in God's hands.
When I'm not sure what comes next, I remember that psalm. But I trust in you, Lord. I say, you are my God. My times are in your hands. Here and now, in the present, I can follow God's lead. We all can. How is God healing the world right now? He clearly cares about what he has created, so we take care too. He made us in his image, so we reflect his love to everyone around us. He sent his son to bring us good news, so we share that good news with others. Take a step back and look at the whole story. Do you see where you are in God's big picture?
I'm the Thingamawinner!
Ooh.
Oh, lemonade!
Oh, that's nice. I'm the Thingamanot winner, and so I've got a drink from the 1800s. I heard it's called a switchel. I'm not sure what's in it, though. Oh, thank you, Mystery Hand. It's water, ginger, maple syrup, and apple cider vinegar.
Oh.
That doesn't sound quite horrible.
That sounds interesting.
And I think that's how they would have drank it, too. It's not quite horrible. Yes.
Hey, this is quite.
It's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I mean, it's not great, but it's not horrible.
We have a job to do.
We are created to partner with God.
And we can partner with God by serving his people.
And we can care for the things that he created.
Get into God's word. If you need help reading the Bible, we have a ton of videos that'll help you out.
And I think it's the point in our timeline where we have a catchphrase to say.
Oh, it's almost that time.
Woohoo!
Enjoy the ride!